Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the joint convention of the school committee, city council to fill the vacancy on the school committee seat to order. I'd ask everyone to please rise and join me in pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Remain standing for a moment. Remember our men and women in uniform serving across the globe, keeping the peace. Thank you. I've asked our city clerk to clerk the meeting. Madam Clerk, could you read the open meeting law, please?
In accordance with Governor Charles D. Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, this joint convention of the school committee and city council will be convened on Tuesday, February 16, 2021 at 6:30. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible.
Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Mr. Guttrow. Present. Ms. Hubley. Ms. Lebo. Mr. Santoro. Present. Councilor Andronico. Present. Councilor Kane. Present. Councilor DeBona. Present. Councilor Harris. Present. Councilor Mahoney. Councilor McCarthy. Present. Councilor Palmucci. Present. Councilor Phelan. Present. President Liang. Present. Mayor Koch.
Present.
You have 14 members. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. As I mentioned at the start, the purpose of tonight's meeting is solely for the purpose of filling the vacancy created by Mr. Andronico be appointed to the Ward 2 Councilor. The rules that we're going to follow, unless there's any objections, we looked at some of the minutes from recent joint conventions. So after we begin the nomination process and close that, the thought is if no candidate receives a majority of votes on the first ballot, the two candidates receiving the top two number votes move forward to the next round. Does that make some sense? I think that's what has been used in the past when we check the minutes. And of course, the process is repeated until we're down to one candidate receiving the majority votes. Any questions on that at this point? See none at this time. I'll call for nominations. Chair recognizes Councilor Palmucci.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's my pleasure to nominate Courtney Perdios to fill the vacant school committee seat. I've had the pleasure to know the Perdios family for the last 15 years or so. Courtney's a mother of three students in the public school system. She's a tireless advocate in our community on various projects that she's worked on and organizations. She's certainly the type of person who, once she has something in her head, she will work at it and at it and at it. While I may not always agree with every position she has, I have no doubt that she'll be a valuable member to the school committee, and she's certainly the most electable Perdios in that household. So it's my pleasure to nominate Courtney Perdios.
I have a second. Mr. Guttrow.
I'll second that nomination, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. And add a little bit as well. Courtney has a decade of leadership working in PTO. She's been PTO president of Clifford Marshall, as well as citywide PTO. She's organized countless forums for parents across the district on common issues and concerns. As many of you know, in 2019, she ran for school committee. She earned nearly 6,000 votes in the process. We also know that Solicitor Timmons provided the council with the memo citing the 1953 state law or special act that the vacant seat should be filled by the defeated candidate who garnered the highest number of votes in the prior election. And I'll say this, despite Courtney's loss at the ballot box, she did not retreat from her advocacy and her interest in QPS. She remained as co-president of citywide PTO, and amidst the pandemic, she helped serve as a voice for parents with questions and then sought and was appointed to QPS's reopening task force. They met all summer long, as the superintendent will tell you. Task force remains active today and engaged as we move from remote to hybrid and hopefully back to in-person learning. And Courtney not only has been a presence, but she's been a voice for parents. Finally, I've known Courtney personally for 15 years. She's always been active in her community. She puts service above self. She's hardworking and passionate and has always been a true advocate for Quincy Public School students as well as parents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Guttrow. I saw Mrs. Lebo hand up. Feel free. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to nominate Elizabeth Speakman for the open position on the Quincy School Committee. Liz has been a clinical social worker for more than 15 years and has been working with and for victims and perpetrators of domestic violence for many more years. She has championed the needs of marginalized people and victims of trauma, not only through direct support, but through the planning and implementing of programs at a large healthcare system and community organizations, and most recently, for the City of Cambridge. Ms. Speakman has developed and implemented trauma-informed law enforcement training for the Cambridge Police and their community partners, and she has presented this program nationally as well. Liz's work has also included support for equity and diversity efforts in Cambridge and in her home city of Quincy. She serves as a parent representative to the QPS District-wide Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Working Group. This group has already impacted teams at each of our schools and supported students, families, and staff who are committed to working with these issues. Liz also works with the citywide PTO as well as the Marymount PTO on their DEI efforts. She has participated in the Visions training with the Quincy Public Schools. She has a long history of engaging and collaborating with community organizations and city departments. She is an active member of the Quincy community through her neighborhood association and our schools. And the other point of note I wanted to make was there are several communities in the state that are being sued because their school committees do not represent the citizens across the city, and most are being forced to move to a ward representation on the school committee. If we have nobody in Liz's ward right now who's represented on the school committee, that means Snug Harbor, Housneck, and Marymount are not represented on the school committee. And this may be someplace that we have to move to some point in time, but I think as we pick people for these positions, we should be thinking about the diversity of our participants. Thank you.
I see you.
I'd like to, thank you.
Madam President.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to second the nomination for Elizabeth Speakman as somebody who has prioritized working into all of our efforts, justice and equity, and how that plays into everything we do here across the city. It's deeply important to me to work alongside somebody who not only has it as a priority, but has it as the priority. And so for that reason, I will second the nomination. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. So we have the motion been seconded. Mr. McCarthy, Counselor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor. I would like to nominate Liberty Schaff. Emily just mentioned Ward 1 not having a representative, and I think Liberty Schaff would fit the bill perfectly. Growing up in Housneck and living in Germantown right now, she knows the landscape. She has 6 children, 5 that are in the system right now, and I think a small one headed to kindergarten. So there's a school committee member that'll be around for a while. She has PTO experience. She was the president of Atherton and Howe PTO, and she's currently on the Central PTO. She also holds 2 degrees, a business management degree and early childhood degree. I've known Liberty for a couple of years. She's very active, very proactive, and knows the city inside and out. So with that, I'd love to nominate Liberty Schaff.
Thank you, Counselor. Do I see a second? Counselor DeBona?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll second the motion. Just to echo the sentiments of what Councilor McCarthy said, Liberty Schaff has, the 6 children. One just graduated from high school in the Quincy Public Schools, and the other 5 are in the Quincy Public Schools. I think this open seat, this vacant seat, is very important, as all of us know. To the other potential candidates that have been spoken tonight and maybe be spoken later, all of them have reached out to me, and I just want to say thank you to all of them. I got a little insight, and at the end of the day, everybody cares about the students and the children of the Quincy Public Schools. So with that, thank you so much.
Chair recognizes Councilor Kane.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to nominate Ellen O'Donnell, one of Ward 3 zone, neighbor and friend, parent of the school system, 2 children in the school system these days. Background in early childhood education, many years in finance, has worked as a portfolio manager, understands the comings and goings of budgets, and is currently working as a real estate agent here in the city. She brings a unique perspective as a parent and enthusiast and a person that has not only been involved in Quincy youth sports, but has also taken part in many of the commissions in the city, including the Community Preservation Committee. As Councilor DeBona alluded to, there have been many wonderful presentations of candidates to this board, and we're grateful for that. So we look forward to seeing who's going to represent us well, and thanks for the opportunity.
Chair recognizes Councilor Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to second the motion for Ellen O'Donnell. I've known the O'Donnells for quite a lot of years, and a family of great character. So I will reiterate what my colleague has just said and say good. Best wishes to everybody who's put their name in front. It's a difficult thing to do, and thank you.
Any other nominations? Seeing none, motion by Mr. Santoro, seconded by Mr. Guttrow to close the nominations. All those in favor, aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Nominations are closed. So as the clerk reads your name on the roll, you need to name the candidate of your choice. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Guttrow. Ms. Hubley. Ms. Lebo. Sorry, just one second. Mr. Santoro.
Perdios.
Counselor Andronico. Counselor Kane. Counselor DeBona. Counselor Harris. Counselor Mahoney. Counselor McCarthy.
Liberty Shaft.
Counselor Palmucci. Counselor Phelan. President Liang.
Elizabeth Speakman.
Mayor Koch.
Courtney Perdios.
Eight votes for Courtney Perdios, 2 for Elizabeth Speakman, 3 for Ellen O'Donnell, and 1 for Liberty Shaft.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Courtney Perdios has received 8 necessary votes from majority. She is a selection of the joint convention. I do want to express my gratitude to a number of folks who reached out to each of you, to my office, a number of great candidates, and I said publicly from day one, just as I supported Mrs. Lebo for the same reason. Courtney has been very active. She also has run for the office and came up just a little short, so I think out of fairness she deserves it, although I probably know a couple of other candidates more closely. So having said that, I will reach out to Courtney and have her sworn on quickly, and we'll get her involved in the subcommittee side of school committee where a lot of the work does happen. So thank you, everybody, for coming out. With that, motion to adjourn by Mr. Santoro. All those in favor? Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.